Okay, we're diving into some really interesting stuff today, I think. You shared with me this segment, Finding Presence in a Busy World. It's from this episode 1, Mindful Monday with You're Not Alone thing. And it really resonated with me. I don't know about you, but I feel like life is just constantly speeding up, you know? It's go, 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 so much going on. And I think a lot of people probably feel that way. So that's what we're going to kind of try to tackle with this deep dive, see if we can pull out any sort of actual, real usable ways for you to feel a little bit more, I don't know, what's the word? Anchored.
Grounded,
Yeah,
present, yeah.
amidst all the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we went through and really tried to pinpoint some practical strategies that people can, incorporate into their lives to kind of cultivate that sense of groundedness,
Yeah.
even when things feel really chaotic.
Okay, so let's kind of start with the foundation here, right?
Right.
The cornerstone of all this seems to be this idea of mindfulness. But when we talk about like being present, what does that actually look like to you?
Well, for me, it's really about engaging with the current moment. So noticing where you are, what you're doing, and really tuning into that experience
Right.
without getting swept away by either what's already happened or what might happen down the line.
Yeah.
And the source materials, described it really nicely. It said it's about gently guiding your attention to the now instead of like getting caught up in, past regrets or future worries.
Yeah, that phrase really stood out to me, gently guiding. Because I think that's key, right? It's not about like forcing your mind into silence, which I feel like is often a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
Like you just end up thinking more.
It's more about acknowledging those thoughts and feelings as they arise,
Yeah.
but then like softly bringing your focus back to like what's actually happening right here.
Right. Okay. So that's sort of the concept. But like, why? Like, why should I even bother? So you're telling me I should like try to be more present, but what's the significance of it?
Well, the material you shared referenced studies from like places like UCLA and Harvard.
Oh, wow. Fancy.
Right. And their findings suggest that a consistent mindfulness practice can actually lead to some like really tangible improvements in your well-being. So we're talking about like a reduction in your stress levels, enhanced concentration and focus, and even a strengthening of your emotional resilience, like your ability to kind of, navigate life's ups and downs.
Interesting. So it's not just like some woo-woo thing, like there's actual science behind it.
Right. Okay.
So for the listener, it's almost like having like a mental reset button,
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Something you can tap into like anytime, anywhere without needing like, special tools or a huge time commitment or anything.
That's a great way to think about it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's kind of the why. But now let's get into the how. Like how can we actually, do this? Like what are some ways that we can be more present? The source offered a few kind of, concrete techniques.
Yeah.
One that stood out was breathwork. I feel like we hear that a lot, but let's unpack it. Like, what does that actually involve?
Yeah. So it's fundamentally about bringing conscious attention to your breath.
Yeah.
Right. So the suggestion is to like take slow, deliberate breaths, maybe counting to 4 as you inhale, and then again to 4 as you exhale. And the crucial part here is to really feel the physical sensations of each breath, like the air moving in and out of your body. And what's interesting here is how such a simple act can interrupt like that usual stream of thought.
Yeah. Because you're focusing on a physical sensation. It's pulling you out of your head.
Exactly.
Which is, where most of us live, I think, these days.
Yeah. And it's something you're doing all the time anyway,
Right. You're always breathing.
It's just now you're bringing intention to it.
Right.
Well,
Okay, what's another one?
another technique they highlight is called a body scan.
Oh, yeah, body scan. Okay.
So for you, the listener, this involves gently directing your awareness to different parts of your body. So you might start with like your toes and gradually move upwards to the top of your head. And the goal isn't to change anything or like judge any sensations that arise, but simply to notice them, whether it's a feeling of tension, warmth, coolness, or anything else. And this can be really helpful, especially in becoming more aware of your body's signals, like where you might be holding on to stress without even realizing it.
That makes sense. It's easy to get, up in your head and not even realize that, like, your shoulders are, like, up by your ears,
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good one. And then another one that I thought was interesting, especially, in our kind of fast-paced world, is the idea of mindful eating.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us could probably use a little more of that.
Absolutely. So mindful eating, for you listening, it's about intentionally shifting your focus while you're consuming food. right?
Yeah.
So instead of like multitasking or rushing through meals,
Yeah.
you try to fully engage the experience.
Yeah.
So, pay attention to the textures, the different flavors, the aromas. Chew your food slowly and really savor each bite.
Yeah.
And this not only like enhances your enjoyment of the meal, but can also lead to, more mindful consumption overall.
Yeah. I'm guilty of like sometimes eating, while I'm scrolling on my phone or, in
Okay.
front of the TV, and you don't even really like taste it,
Yeah. Right.
So it's like you're
Accelerated.
missing out on like a big part of life.
Exactly.
So that's a good one. The source also provides like a really relatable example to illustrate how these techniques can be applied, I guess, in everyday situations. And the one that they focus on is the feeling of stress before sending an email.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
I feel like we can all relate to that. Like you're about to hit send and you're like, oh, wait, should I really say that? Or maybe I should rephrase this or whatever.
So you have that like moment of slight anxiety, that
Yeah.
urge to just like click send and move on.
And then you regret it later.
Exactly. And so the source suggests that in that very instant, instead of, you know, reacting impulsively, you choose to pause,
Mm-hmm.
just take a slow breath in, slow breath out.
Just that pause.
And that brief interruption, that conscious breath, can actually, prevent you from sending like a hasty or reactive email
Yeah.
and allow you to respond with like more clarity and calm. And
Hmm.
what's great about this is that it's so accessible, right?
Right. It doesn't require like a big, meditation retreat or
Yeah,
something like
so it's
this.
these small, deliberate pauses.
Yeah. Those little pockets of awareness throughout your day, I think, are really important. And speaking of small pockets, the source actually includes like a brief guided grounding exercise.
Oh, cool.
Would you be up for trying that with us right now?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. So for you listening, if it feels safe and comfortable, you can gently close your eyes. And we're going to take a deep breath in for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it just for a moment. And now exhale slowly for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you breathe, just notice any thoughts that might be present, but allow them to like drift by without engaging with them, like clouds passing in the sky. Let's do that one more time. Inhale deeply, 2, 3, 4. Hold. And exhale, 2, 3, 4.
And just take a moment now, wherever you are, to notice how you feel, even after that very short exercise. It's amazing, as the source highlights, how even just 1 minute of focused breathing can sometimes lead to a really noticeable shift in your internal state.
Yeah. And I think what's really cool about this is that it's such a readily available tool. It doesn't require any special equipment or training. It's really just about a willingness to direct your attention.
Okay, so we're kind of starting to wrap up here. As we kind of come to the end of this deep dive into finding presence, what would you say is like the most important thing for the listener to kind of take away from all of this?
I think the core message, the material you shared really emphasizes this, is that cultivating mindful moments doesn't require like, significant amounts of time or elaborate practices.
Yeah.
It truly comes down to like your willingness to pause,
Yeah.
even briefly, and consciously observe what is happening in the present moment.
Right. So if our listener is listening to this and they're like, okay, I want to try this, like what's one very specific thing that they could do, like an actionable step they could take today to start kind of putting this into practice?
Well, the source offers a really clear and simple suggestion, and that is try to incorporate just one minute breathing break into your day today. Maybe set a little reminder on your phone, and when it goes off, just allow yourself that brief moment to focus solely on your breath.
Yeah. Great idea. And if you do give it a try, the creators of You're Not Lone, they encourage you to share your experience on social media using the hashtag You're Not Lone. They'd love to hear how you're bringing mindfulness into your day. And there's even a possibility they might feature your story in the future. You can also find more resources and tools on their website, which is www.you'renotalone.online.
And I think if we connect this back to the bigger picture for you, the listener, in a world that's constantly like vying for your attention and pulling you in a million different directions, the simple act of intentionally choosing to be present, even for a single minute, can be a really powerful act of self-care and a way for you to reconnect with yourself and the world around you in a more meaningful way.
That's really beautiful. So, as you navigate your day to day, just consider this. What is one specific moment where you could consciously choose to be fully present? Maybe it's during your, first sip of coffee in the morning, or while you're waiting in line at the grocery store, or even, while you're listening to this. See if you can, carve out that little space to just be right here, right now. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.